What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about which shotgun is best in Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 4 4.0 build. I've been asked about this a bunch because with this season's changes, this is probably the most considerable change we've had to the shotgun meta in a while. If you guys do enjoy this video, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, and comment down below which shotgun is your favorite so far this season. And also, I do now have merch at splitapparel.com/evolvejake. It'll be linked down in the description below. The current designs are pretty basic, but there will be like more stuff coming in the future, but a decent amount of you guys have asked me to make merch, so went ahead and did that. So the shotgun loot pool changed so much this season. We had the Havoc pump get vaulted and the lever shotgun get vaulted, as well as the drum shotgun getting vaulted. So odds are last season you probably were maining either the Havoc pump or the drum shotty, and both of those were vaulted. The three main shotguns we have this season are going to be the Maven Auto Shotgun, which has been around for a lot of Chapter 4, the Infiltrator Pump, which is a new shotgun, and then the Sharp-Tooth Shotgun, which was added last season, but like mostly ignored because the Havoc pump was just a better pump. And then there's also the exotic heisted Maven, the Breacher Shotgun, and Kit's mythic charge shotgun that can be found in the new vaults. I think the heisted Maven shotgun is probably the best shotgun in the game right now. It is pretty busted, and it's been busted for ever since it came to the game. The main difference now, though, is that in Chapter 4 Season 1 and then Season 2 and 3, we had the Havoc pump in the game. And with those two pumps, the damage potential was really high if you hit a good shot with a high rarity version. So a good player with good aim, or just somebody who has good aim in that moment, could definitely outplay the heisted Maven if they hit like a really solid opening pump. But the shotguns that we have in the game now are toned back, and then the heisted Maven is still just as insane as it ever has been. So I think the heisted Maven is the best in the game right now. If you get the opportunity to use it, you're probably going to want to. Another thing that makes it more insane this season in the past is that there's a guaranteed way to get it currently, with the Love Ranger NPC at Rumble Ruin selling it for 400 gold. So being able to just land and get this ridiculous shotgun is pretty insane. I don't know if they're going to end up patching it or what, but if you just want one best shotgun, I think it's the exotic heisted Maven if you're willing to spend that gold every game. As far as the other shotguns go, I'm going to talk about them because they're the core weapons in the game that you're probably going to have access to most of the time. So we're going to go over those shotguns. We're going to talk about the Infiltrator Pump first because it's the newest, and a lot of people have been hating on this weapon because its damage isn't the greatest, but I feel like a lot of people, myself included, were just using it wrong for a while. The blue version will hit for 85 max body damage and 125 max headshot damage, while the mythic gets up to 97 max body damage and 140 max headshot damage. So if you're looking at that, you're probably like 140 max damage for a pump at mythic rarity. This thing is terrible. But the problem is it's not really a pump shotgun at all. I don't know why it has pump in the name. I mean, I guess there's an animation, but when most players think of a pump shotgun, they think high damage, slow fire rate. You're probably going to want to swap to something else between shots, right? But the Infiltrator Pump has a fire rate of 1.2, and for comparison, the Maven Auto Shotgun has a fire rate of 1.4. The Auto or Tac shotguns in the past had a fire rate of 1.5, and then the Sharp-Tooth and Havoc Pump both have fire rates of like 0.68 and 0.75 respectively. So as you can see, it has a much higher fire rate, not a much higher, but almost double the fire rate of the Sharp-Tooth shotgun, but not quite that of like the traditional auto shotguns. It kind of sits somewhere in the middle ground where it's not quite a pump in terms of, hitting a nice solid shot and then just swapping to something. And then it's also not as high of a fire rate as some of like the more like barrel stuffing shotguns like the auto shotgun, drum shotgun, those sorts of things. So I think it's really best as an auto shotgun that you play more controlled, like playing off of cover with this shotgun, kind of peeking, shooting on a shot, getting another angle, peeking again, shooting another shot, like things like that, because you can peek really quick over and over again with the shotgun because the fire rate is really, really good. And another thing that's really good about this shotgun is it has a really good range and a really tight spread, and that's typically auto shotguns are the opposite of that. They have not the greatest range and a really wide spread, making them like more into that barrel stuff playstyle. So I think you can just play off of this shotgun in a fight and not swap to anything else, and it will do fine. But you know, if you're playing a fight only using this shotgun and just trying to, you know, create that 50-50 scenario where like both you and the opponent are just kind of standing out in the open trading damage, it's probably going to fail and lose to something like the auto shotgun, and it's definitely going to lose to something like the exotic heisted Maven if the opponent is doing it well. So I think this gun is really good. The range on it is nice. The fire rate on it is solid but not amazing, and it works fine in a 2-gun setup, I think. So yeah, the Infiltrator Pump is good. I just feel like a lot of people have been using it wrong because its name says pump and you think, okay, it's a new pump, it's going to hit hard, but that's not really the case. It's kind of like a different combat shotgun. The combat shotgun had less damage, but a higher fire rate, but it worked in like a similar, more like controlled spam playstyle, and I feel like this Infiltrator Pump does the same thing. You know, play smart with it, spam out your shots, and you'll do good, but if you're just like trying to 50-50 like barrel stuff somebody, the Maven is probably going to be a better choice. The Sharptooth shotgun is going to be this season's like high damage shotgun. So if you want to pump and then swap to a spray to finish or pump, spray, back to pump, this is probably going to be the shotgun you like most. The blue version will do 108 max damage to the body and 155 max headshot, while the gold version will do 119 to the body and 165 max headshot, which is solid damage, but it's nothing amazing, and that's why it wasn't really used that much when compared to like the Havoc pump last season. The consistency of this weapon is probably its main bonus, if your aim is good though, because the reticle is really small, it has a tight spread, and then the Infiltrator Pump is the same way. Both of those shotguns have really tight spreads, so if your aim is good, it's going to be consistent, but if your aim isn't the best and only like a small portion of your reticle is barely on the opponent, both the Infiltrator Pump and the Sharptooth will be really inconsistent. But in theory, they should be consistent shotguns because they both have good range and they both have a tight spread. And that is true for, like I said, both the Sharptooth and the Infiltrator shotgun. They both have really good range. I've enjoyed my time using the Sharptooth this season, but I do think, again, you need to play a bit safer than with the Havoc pump because the damage isn't as insane. Like if you had good aim with the Havoc pump and you were confident, you could just shockwave onto a full HP, pump them for like 180, 190, I forget what the max damage was, you know, swap to your repeater last season or mammoth pistol or even just a spray, and that like insane first shot could make it to where you could kind of play bad in a lot of ways, but if you had the skill to back it up, it was fine. The Sharptooth shotgun isn't going to be quite that. It can be very good, but I think you need to play smarter with it than what you did with like the Havoc pump in the past, and I think that's kind of the main struggling point for a lot of people this season is that they're just kind of 50-50ing a lot of fights, and both the Sharptooth and Infiltrator shotgun don't really thrive in that playstyle. They're more like controlled shotguns, and then also the exotic Maven is out there a bunch, and that shotgun thrives in those 50-50 situations. So not only do you have a shotgun that's not as good for that, you're playing against the best shotgun for that potentially. And that's also going to be the main drawback of the Maven, in my opinion. The blue version of the Maven Auto will do 85 max body damage and 130 max headshot damage, while the gold will do 94 max body damage and 140 max headshot. Oddly enough, the exotic version actually has a lower headshot cap than the gold one, but that really isn't that big of a deal because the exotic's insane fire rate. If you're hitting triple digits at all with the exotic Maven, the opponent is going to go down like pretty much instantly, you know? Also, the gold Maven has the same max headshot damage as the mythic Infiltrator Pump, which you can get from Loot Island by capturing the point. And so you might be like, why would I ever use the Infiltrator Pump if the Maven has the same max damage? The main problem is that with the Maven, you're rarely going to be getting that max damage. Like these damage numbers for the Maven are almost kind of like fake in a way because they assume every pellet hits. And like I was talking about before with the Infiltrator and the Sharptooth, those have very small pellet like reticles. So there's a minimal spread, making it easy for you to hit all your pellets on the opponent if your aim is good. The Maven has a much higher spread, and that makes it inconsistent because it's, unless you're basically barrel stuffing the opponent, it's unlikely that you're going to hit all your pellets and actually get that max damage. And I'm sure if you guys play the game, you know, like you're rarely seeing those numbers with the Maven unless you're basically touching them. And I think that's the main drawback of the Maven is that it really kind of opts you into that barrel stuff 50-50 playstyle, which it can work because like I said, the Infiltrator Pump and the Sharptooth don't really do that great in that, But the problem is, if you are playing like that, and then you run into somebody using the exotic Maven while you're using the base Maven, you're probably just going to auto lose that fight if your opponent is decent. Like, they just have a huge advantage on you, and you have to, like, opt into their main playstyle. Whereas, like, I feel like both the Infiltrator Pump and the Sharptooth can actually beat the exotic Maven if you play well, because the playstyle that's good for the Sharptooth and the Infiltrator is very bad for the exotic Maven. You just don't want to get, you know, incredibly close to somebody using the exotic Maven, but if you're using the base Maven, you basically have to. So yeah, I would not like to use the base Maven this season. I don't ever want to use it. I enjoy using the Infiltrator Pump. I enjoy using the Sharptooth. If you like the Maven, that's fine. It probably is the easiest shotgun to use, but I feel like you're going to lose a lot of fights going up against the exotic one because you have to play in a similar way to them. And then finally, the Kit Charge Shotgun will do 104 body damage uncharged and 156 when full charged, and then 181 headshot when uncharged and 205 headshot when fully charged as well. And I think the Charge Shotgun has a lot more potential in the current loot pool because of what I was talking about. Like, the main drawback to the Charge Shotgun has always been that it's like an inconvenience to play around, and that if we have something like the Havoc Pump in the game, or the Prime Shotgun in the past, or if we have like some other like solid pump, you know, why would you want to use the Charge? You're just like making your game more inconvenient. But the other shotguns this season aren't so insane that I feel like the Mythic Charge is just useless. I haven't gotten as much time to play with it though, but I could see it being very good this season because of what the other shotguns in the game are. And one thing that's nice about it is if you're shockwaving onto the opponent, you can basically like charge it as you're going to them and then land on them with that full charge. And if you opened with AR shots, you're probably going to be able to get that kill really quickly. But it definitely is the most difficult to use. And I also think the Breacher Shotgun has a lot of potential this season because of like what I just talked about with the other shotguns not being as good. The Breacher might have more potential this season than it did last, or it might shine more this season than it did last, even though its structure damage was nerfed. Just as a gun, I didn't want to use it when the Havoc Pump was in the game because the Havoc Pump was fine, but, you know, since the other shotguns kind of taken a step back, the Breacher might have more potential, but I haven't been able to play as much with the Charge or the Breacher this season, so that is going to be it for this video. I think the shotgun balance is pretty solid this season. I think each of these shotguns is good. Mythic Maven, probably the best. I think the Infiltrator and the Sharptooth are both really good if you play around them well, and the Maven is there, and it's kind of there as like an easy option. Some other final things I just want to talk about, though, is that both the Infiltrator Pump and Sharptooth have really good range, so if you are shockwaving onto people, you can shoot at them while you're landing on them in air. With the Havoc Pump, you probably wouldn't want to do that because it didn't have the most range, but you can hit like 50-60 damage on opponents from a solid range with these shotguns. So that's something to be considered, especially if you already have AR tags on them. You know, you shoot them while you're landing on them as well, and then your shotgun's ready to go again when you land. Definitely can be a solid strategy. I also think that the Sharptooth and Burst, if you're going to combine them, I've really liked the Burst SMG this season. I feel like the ideal timing for that is Sharptooth shot into Burst for 2 bursts and then back to Pump. So if you are someone who couldn't really get a hang of like Pump SMG swapping in the past because you didn't know how much SMG to spray, I feel like 2 bursts with the Burst is pretty ideal. But if I hit them, like let's just say I hit them 165, I'm probably just going to stay on my SMG for the remainder of the fight because I have them so weak. But if you didn't hit the greatest first shot, then like let's just say it was like 60 damage or something, you probably want to do 2 bursts and then back to the Pump. It just depends on how healthy you think the opponent is. Also, with the Sharptooth and Infiltrator, I said you wanted to play safe and smart more so. Another thing this season is that you can waste shockwaves more. You don't have to worry about, like, you know, getting the most out of every shockwave, because not only does shockwave spawn rate seem higher this season, but also with the on-the-go bag augment, it's very easy to max your shockwaves back. So, you know, use your shockwaves more intelligently in a fight and get those resets. And if you play around cover well with the Sharptooth or the Infiltrator Pump, I think they're both really good shotguns and they can beat the exotic Maven. Just the exotic Maven is annoying because it's so easy to use. You get it, you be near the opponent, you hold the shoot button, and then they're probably going to lose. But that is going to be it for this video. I hope you guys found this helpful, informative, interesting. If you did, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like some more. Like I said, I do have merch now. It'll be linked down in the description if you guys are interested in that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.